Hello everyone and welcome to the Creative Nowhere Land podcast. This might be a controversial one, but on this episode I'm joined by AI creator, marketer and also self-confessed romantic, Terri Trovato. Now, before anyone hears the words AI and starts immediately reaching for the pitchfork, I think it's important to say that this conversation isn't really about technology. It's about creativity. Terri's journey began long before AI entered the mainstream. For years, she worked on the edges of the fashion industry, assisting stylists in New York and trying to carve out a place for herself in a world that often felt difficult to access. Fashion was always the dream, but like so many other creative people, she found herself constantly looking through a window rather than being invited through the door. And then AI arrived. What started as simple curiosity quickly became an obsession. And armed with years of experience in styling, photography, advertising, and fashion, Terri discovered a new way to bring the images in her imagination to life. For the first time, she could create exactly what she saw in her mind without needing a studio, a model, a photographer, or even the actual clothes. Since then, her work has caught the attention of major fashion brands, taken her to Paris Fashion Week, led to collaborations with international fashion houses, and opened doors that she spent years trying to unlock through much more traditional routes. In this conversation, we talk about Terri's route into the fashion industry, the frustrations of trying to break into a notoriously difficult world, and how an unexpected fascination with AI became the creative outlet that she'd been searching for. We explore the relationship between technology and creativity, discuss the difference between art and commerce, and ask whether AI is really something that artists should be afraid of. We also discuss gatekeeping, creative identity, and feeling like the ultimate imposter, but also what it feels like to finally be seen after years of feeling overlooked. You can check out the links to Terri's work while you're listening to the podcast, of course, but whether you're excited about AI, skeptical of it, or somewhere in between, I think you'll find this a really interesting conversation. So, let's get into it. Should we talk AI, Terri?
Yes.
Okay, this might be quite a controversial one though, because bearing in mind that a lot of the listeners of the Creative Nowhere Land podcast are very much artists, creatives, and I'm not going to make a sweeping generalization, but perhaps are a little bit adverse to AI, shall I say?
Adverse. Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. A lot of people just fucking hate it.
But this is kind of why I wanted to get you on, because at the moment it is a controversial subject, I guess, for a lot of people, especially in the art world.
Yeah.
But can you explain a little bit about what it is you do?
So I'm somebody who just got into this because I was curious. You know, when it first came out, everybody was talking about AI and there was like a general fear. I was afraid when it first came out.
What were you afraid of when it first came out?
You know, I'm somebody who grew up in the 90s. I've seen Terminator. So that's what I thought this whole thing was going to be. And it very well still might be like that moving forward. But basically, once I started looking into the image generation, it was just a curiosity because you know me, you and I used to style some shoots together.
Should we talk about that? Like your background in fashion, styling, production?
Maybe we would offer a bit more context.
Yeah, I think let's do that.
Yeah, because you and I worked together on a couple of shoots. We did a really, really lovely one in my apartment with this gorgeous model who made off with my lingerie because she looked way better in it. But I always had an interest in fashion. When I graduated college, I wanted to be a stylist. Moved to New York. I styled for a couple different stylists. I was their assistant and for this Japanese magazine at the time. But, you know, it doesn't pay. But I would always like try to get in on as many shoots as I could. I always wanted to be Grace Coddington. That was my dream, my goal. And
But that's it, isn't it? It's like fashion is your background. So it seems like a natural stepping stone that you were trying to.
Well, that's the thing. I don't even know if you could say fashion was my background, because I was always like, if there was a glass door, I was always smashing my face up against it because I love fashion. I do. But it was always the barrier of entry. So I would try all these different ways. And my main thing was styling, but I would never, like, as close as I would get, the door would always get somehow put in front of me. And I don't know if it was just because I wasn't networking properly. I was young. I didn't quite know what I was doing. So I always had this interest, but I was always kind of like on the outside. And I also needed to make money. So I started getting into more practical things like advertising, because at least there you could still be creative.
Yeah.
So I started doing like all the social media marketing. And this was when it was brand new and nobody really integrated social media with marketing. And a lot of brands that I was working for were like, we don't need this. But it took some convincing to make them see, like, no, this is where tech is headed. This is where social media is headed. And it started to be more integrated with businesses. We need to start looking at this on a practical level and see if we can like use it to promote your business. And then that took off. So it was just all this
balancing the two together sort of thing.
Well, yeah, I just basically kind of left fashion in the wayside for a few years. I would come back to it every once in a while. If there was a show I could attend, I would. And then when I moved to Spain, I was still moving on with paid ads and starting to work more with actual clothing brands. So that kind of got me a little bit more into it. And then when everything with AI came out, you know, we've done some shoots, you and I, and they, you know, I did some practical like stylist, actual full blown shoots here, and I was never happy with the result. So
can we reframe that? You were never happy with the results apart from our
apart
shoes.
from our
I was going to say, Terry, let's
ours came out great. I loved ours, and it was the most
beautiful.
simple. Like it was just natural lighting in my apartment on the roof with arena. Just
well,
like
when
lingerie.
You've got great styling, great model, great location, my job's super easy. So yeah, I just wanted to caveat that it wasn't my shoe that was mixed up in that. Our shoe was fucking beautiful.
It came out lovely. The rest of them came like dog shit.
But it is hard, isn't it, when you're trying to build your name as, say, solely a stylist? You have to do all the tests, and sometimes you're working with photographers or whatever that might not be as up to scratch as you want to. So
yeah, it was just
that the frustration?
Yeah, it's just, you know, I'm putting in all this work and I'm thinking, wow, I have the time. I'm really going to focus on making this a thing. I'm going to, you know, make a name for myself as a stylist. But every test shoot, I don't know if it's my fault. It could have been my fault, but there was so much planning. We had amazing clothing. We had amazing hair, makeup, and the shots still came out looking, you know, subpar. And
yeah,
it just completely, I was like, all right, this is clearly, I'm not meant for this. Maybe I should just give up. So,
well, I've worked with you, Terry, so I know that's not true. Our shoot was beautifully starred, beautifully produced. You did all of it. I just sort of rocked up with the camera.
Well, yeah, but I mean, how many times, especially when you're trying to build a port, you know, that's worth showing, you know, that was 1 out of 10.
So what are you saying? Are you essentially saying that all of these bad photographers in Barcelona led you to AI?
I am not saying there are bad photographers in Barcelona. I'm saying maybe I was not a very good CD, you know? But
well, I've worked with you, so I would disagree with that. So I think maybe you just needed to get better photographers over from
You're just
England
trying to hype yourself up.
Yeah, a little bit. Go ahead.
Yes, everything. I should have just worked with you 100%.
Solely. It could have been the most beautiful team. We could have gone on to do big things. And then you just didn't want me to come over anymore.
What?
So AI has taken over and it's led you down a whole different course.
Yeah, see, actually, that's basically what happened. So eventually I went straight back into paid ads. But in this point, I was starting to work more with bigger brands in fashion. So I was working with Condé Nast. And they have a branded content division for the UK. And I was basically running all of their ads. So if Tiffany's, for example, wanted to put an ad in Vogue, like British Vogue, I would be managing those campaigns and things like that. So I was starting to feel like I was getting my foot in the door a little bit. And then that led into other work. Like I started working with a brand called Marchesa. So I've been with them for about 3.5 years now. And Edward, the CEO, he and I have a really good relationship. And it's actually Marchesa where I kind of got the intro into AI, but using it for work. Because again, everything started coming out about AI image generation. So I'm like, and I just got curious one afternoon and I sat down on my laptop and I'm like, you know what? I just want to see what I can do.
Yeah.
So I came up with this shoot idea in my head, and I always had this thing for English countryside. I don't know, tartan and tweed, like, and what do you call it? Wellies. I love
wellies,
all of that.
I love it. American wellies.
What?
Perfect.
I love it. So basically I sat there one day and I'm just like, you know what? Do this color. I had no idea how to prompt. And it spat back out an image. It was way fucking better than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to look like shit.
Even with this like inability, you never prompted before, and I'm assuming that's something that you
No.
learn as
you go on. Like, because at first I'm just like, hi, can you just type this thing in? And it gave me an image that actually looked not bad, just considering the fact that this had just come out and this was brand new. So I was like, oh shit. The second I saw that, I felt like a door opened or windows opened, everything opened. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of potential with this. If we can tailor this to actually make, you can make like any kind of editorial image, any kind of merchandising image, you can make anything you want. This could be a game changer. So I started fiddling with it. And it was one of those things where I just kept going. And it would be like, I'd be on it for 12 hours. It'd be like middle of the night. Austin's like, my husband, he'd be like, okay, you need to go to bed. And it just got to that point where became like a bit obsessed with it, because at the end of the day, I do love fashion. I wanted to be a stylist. I didn't need anybody. No offense. I didn't need you. I didn't need makeup. I didn't need a model. I just needed my head.
And that knowledge that you've got from all those years, again, I suppose the fashion inputs, the photography inputs, this is all contributing to your knowledge base to give the prompts, right?
Well, as I was doing the prompts, I started seeing, okay, I need to be way more specific. And as you prompt over and over again, these little tweaks make a huge difference. And all of a sudden I'm like, well, why didn't I think about, lighting? Why didn't I think about the type of camera? Why didn't I think about the aperture? Why didn't I think about the color grading? Why didn't I think and start putting all of that in there?
And this is why you were staying up till stupid o'clock in the morning.
Kind of, yeah. Like, time of day, the lighting, the mood, the movement, all of that stuff starts getting like kind of integrated into it. And this was still when it was pretty rudimentary as far as like building an image. But the tech has also gotten so crazy now that you can get as detailed as you can. But yeah,
it's not just still images now. You're doing full on videos, and
it was still images for a while though.
Yeah.
It really was. I think for about the first year and a half, it was just focusing on still. And then when videos came out, they looked rough. Like video looked really rough at first. I don't know if you got the chance to see any of those when those first appeared.
We'll share obviously your account, but on your account, you've actually done an amazing comparison. It's probably not that long ago, like from a couple of years ago, you did a rooftop fashion show video, and
even that was like later on. I mean, like the first iterations, they looked.
Oh, right.
It was basically the most pixelated. You can't tell what you're looking at all. So I just went like, oh, well, this is abstract. I'm just going to call it an abstract video because you have no fucking idea what you're looking at.
Okay, so you're experimenting with these images and things just because you're curious.
Yeah, I was just curious.
And then did you actually go and present some of this to some of your clients?
Well, actually, I started making all these images, and my first thought was starting to get a couple of images I like. Maybe I should just make like an Instagram account and just post this just for fun. And everything was just for fun. So that's how my account kind of got started, because I already had the stylist account, my Instagram account, but I wasn't posting anything on it because I had given up. So I'm like, well, why don't I just build off that and see if anyone's interested?
You say you've given up. So did this tool, essentially, this AI tool, give you that chance to feel more creative? This AI thing allows you to dip into the world where exactly you don't need stylists, you don't need models, you don't need lighting, you don't need sets, you don't need makeup artists.
Yeah,
you can just play to your heart's content.
Exactly. And I can make whatever is in my head. And when I have the proper prompts, I can make it look exactly how I want to. Like if I want to change the lighting, if I want to change an outfit, if I want to change the setting, if I want to change the time of day, I can change everything. I can make it go from like, a really deep cinematic, like a 35 millimeter shot, or I could have like shallow depth of field, and I can make it look more editorial. I can make it look more grainy.
So you're only limited essentially by your own knowledge.
Essentially, yeah. And it made me also more appreciative of photographers, of makeup artists, because, all the stuff that they know, I had to start learning like what these terms actually meant, because it made me basically just better at prompting and making sure that like I could get the same kind of image that a photographer could get.
But presumably, as I say, from your background, you were knowing what a makeup artist does on a shoot, what I do on a shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that integration is interesting. So you started an Instagram account.
Mm-hmm.
Was it popular? Did you get some? No. I was going to say, did you get some?
No, not at all. Dude, it was my styling account. one where we were posting like our
Yeah,
photos
yeah.
of the arena, and I was just starting out with that. So no, it was not popular at all. So nobody missed it, you know? So I figured, okay, this is fine. This is a place where I can basically put the images that I like, just so I can have a little bit of a, I don't know, I guess a gallery or
Yeah.
something. And I started to notice other people were doing it too, because this was in the very, very early days. And there weren't that many accounts that were doing this, but it got very crowded very quickly. But as the tech started to get better, the software updated, I tended to focus on Midjourney. That's where I like to make my images. They added more updates, they added more versions. The quality got a lot better. You started to see more people using it. And then again, I told you I was working with Marchesa, and it was one summer we were kind of in between shoots, and we needed new content because I run all their paid media. So that was the first time I'm sitting there. I'm just like, not for nothing, but like I spoke to the CEO. I'm like, let me just do a test run. Give me a gown that we want to shoot for creative, because I know we don't have any right now. We're recycling the same ones. It's going to cost us $16K for another shoot, and that's not even for another 3 months. What if I just kind of took AI and let's see what we can do with it? And he was like, yeah, sure, fine, whatever. And when I gave him the images back,
there wasn't any kickback from them. They were just,
no,
let's do it.
we know, because we were in that position where it's like,
We
what
need
are we going to
stuff,
do? We
yeah.
need something. So I'm like, why don't you just give me a shot? We don't have to post it, but let me see if you like it. And then when I showed it to him, he was just like, oh, okay, yeah, this works. Let's go ahead and use it. So I'm like, great. So I plugged in a couple images, and I used the dresses that we had, made sure the reference was exact, because that's really important when it comes to working with brands. There's no deviation from how they actually look.
Yeah.
And then we posted it to see how it did. See, first, if people noticed, if it was AI, and second, if it would perform well with paid ads. And nobody noticed. And our ads actually integrated with it perfectly, because they're starting to integrate AI into Meta anyway. So
at this
it took
point,
off.
is this a time when, I suppose, when you post these things on social media now, you have to notify people that it's made with AI, don't you?
You have to label it. But when it comes to ads, no.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I've never had anything on paid ads ask me to label anything that's made with AI. But if it's organic, you do, which is interesting. I've never even thought.
Yeah.
I've never thought about that. Weird.
That is weird.
Yeah. On organic, you have to have, there's a little,
you have to
check mark.
notify, don't you? Anyway, so the brand went for it.
Yeah.
What does that feel like for you then? Does that open more doors?
It was cool, because for the first time, a major brand was showing an image that was my work. And I know it wasn't, a physical shoot, but everything on it was my idea. The model was my idea. The only thing that wasn't mine was the clothes. But it was the first time my work was on the page that was part of a major brand. It was what I was working for my entire life, and I did it in like a week.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was like, holy shit, there's something here.
So at this point, is it still just a bit of fun, or are you referring to yourself as a AI artist, a fashion creator?
I don't know.
I guess that's what I'm asking, really, because it's difficult to.
I feel like a fraud at saying anything like that, because I also know there's so much resistance against AI, and I don't want it to feel like I'm coming in for your job, and I don't want it to feel like I'm this.
But should we talk about that? Because essentially, if you do what you do, somewhere down the line, I can't do what I do. Makeup artists can't do what they do. Stylist doesn't do what they do. Model doesn't do what they do. We're all out of work. I'm not putting this solely on you, Terri,
I know.
I'm just saying, where does...
I don't think we'll ever lose the human element, ever.
Why? Why do you say that? Bearing in mind, if people do look at your videos, they'll look at them and go, holy fuck.
Because we're already seeing evidence of it. We're already seeing evidence of pushback. Like people, the whole analog movement and Gen Z, wanting to meet in person. And there's already evidence that we still need that human connection. I think this is going to be just more of a tool for brands who are in a bit of a pinch, or they just need something quickly to hold them over. Kind of like what happened with Marchesa. It's like, we need something just for our social content. We need to get something out quickly. Can we just do this while we're in between the big shoots?
Okay, so this is more sitting on the level of commerce and not art.
Yeah. Commerce, merchandising the sites, that's a big one too. For the most part, if a site or a brand is going to showcase all of their different pieces, That's an entire shoot day. And for the most part, you need to hire a more expensive model because you have to shoot a lot of things quickly and you need somebody who really knows what they're doing. That can be time consuming. And I've seen a lot of brands in the last year kind of move more towards AI just so they can save money on that process and spend more on like other things. You know, if they did want to do a bigger shoot, if they did want to do something different, they didn't have to spend a whole day focusing on that. They could focus on other stuff. So, yeah.
Hey, sorry for interrupting. This is just a quick reminder that if you're enjoying this episode, there are a couple of really easy ways that you can support the podcast. You can hit the support the show link in the show notes, or consider grabbing yourself something from the Creative Noahland shop on the website. And don't forget, community members get free shipping on all orders. So, before you buy anything, be sure to join. Thanks again for being part of the Creative Noahland community, and now, let's get back into it.
Have you had any sort of obvious pushback though from people like commenting, saying negative stuff or?
Honestly, not really.
No.
I had like one comment one time saying, oh, AI, that. But I've never really had anything negative. It's actually been quite supportive, but it's within the AI community who normally sees my stuff. So yeah, I think anyone who does AI, if you meet anyone, it's like normal people who just sit behind a keyboard.
I think you're painted as wearing like a black cloak over your head and trying to bring down every industry under the sun, which is not true. Essentially, you came at it from
it's just a curiosity.
You're a creative, essentially, Terri.
Yes, I just found a different
found a different outlet.
That's exactly how I feel, and I don't think it'll ever take place or replace, human creation or something that's done in person. There's just it's no different than when, Pixar started moving towards the digital kind of, Toy Story, that kind of thing. It's beautiful in its own art, like Finding Nemo or anything like that. The art's gorgeous, but it's not going to replace anything that was hand drawn.
But I think that's interesting, that relationship between art and commerce, whereas you're not trying to sort yourself, I'm an AI artist producing art for your walls, because see, this is where I'm conflicted. I can see how brands, commerce will use AI.
Yeah.
And me as a photographer, I have to prepare in some ways for that.
Mm-hmm.
But me as an artist, AI doesn't worry me in terms of art, in the inverted commas, because you walk into someone's living room and you've got a beautiful piece of artwork on the wall. You want to go, wow, that's incredible. Tell me the story behind that. Oh,
yeah, it's AI.
Midjourney made that for me last night. I just had an idea and I wanted it to look a bit like this. Like, oh, that's a bit
doesn't
rubbish.
hit.
It doesn't hit. Does it? It's like you say, rather than, I was trekking up a mountain in Peru and I found this artist who was making work out of clay on canvas. There's no story, there's no soul, there's no heart.
Exactly. And that can't be replaced. That can't be duplicated. And I don't want people to think like that's what at least I'm trying to do. I don't think so.
Yeah, and I don't want people to listen to this and come at you going, fucking Terri, fucking AI, ruin the art world. It should be made by hand. Because I'm trying to give the listeners who are, I'm not going to say all, but I think will probably have when they see AI in the title to this podcast, will probably have a negative, but it will be that kind of morbid curiosity where they'll want to come in and listen because they're a little bit afraid of it.
Yeah.
But I think there's so much that can be learned from talking to you about how AI can be used, but also it's not art. I think you have to put art in a different bracket. Yes, brands and stuff are going to be using, and that is a whole different conversation. If I have my photographer hat on, I go, it worries me a bit, but I mean, it's sort of more high fashion, your stuff anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, that's the lane that I really like, but then you see the movie industry is kind of opening up towards it. It just depends on whatever the artist, see, you have me calling them artists now. I don't know. I wouldn't consider us artists. I would consider us designers. I feel like that's kind of like our lane.
You're still creating, but it's just, like you say, it's a different form. You're creating using your inherent knowledge of fashion, styling, the industry, visuals.
Yeah.
To still create something, but you're using a tool.
Yeah. And that's all it is. It's like I said before in another interview, somebody asked me about it. I'm like, I'm sure people were a little skeptical when the photograph came out and painters didn't really like that. Well, great, we're going to be put out of work now. But I don't think it didn't replace painting.
Yeah,
it just found its own lane.
TV and all those progressions.
It just found its own lane. And I think right now we're in that transition period where everybody, especially when it first came out, everyone's like, oh my God, it's going to take my job. And I think now people are starting to realize, no, it's just going to be its own thing. And even within the AI lane, you have AI slop, and then people who do it for brands that have a bit more, I don't know, or even, does that even sound a bit?
No, I think, but again, it's all down to your input.
Well, that's what
If you go, oh,
I don't want to put down uppity either. That sounds shitty.
No, but because you've done the work before AI came in. You were cutting your teeth, as it were, on the streets of New York, trying to be styling assistants, working for brands, trying to work your way. You've done, the paid advertising got you into Condé Nast, but you're still in that fashion world. All of those inputs are still there.
Mm-hmm.
So people can't be mad at you for having all this knowledge and then using a tool to get it out there.
That's the thing is, a lot of brands like, and the other thing that's a bit of hypocritical for brands is like they'll come in and say, oh, AI is terrible, blah, 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 blah. But then they'll also use it for their, like I said, for their merchandising, for their paid social. Like they'll find someone who's really, really skilled to make it look as realistic as possible. Or they'll be a bit more upfront about it. Like there are some brands who really are embracing it and see it as not something that's going to replace how they present themselves to their users, but they just see it as another way that they could. Like one brand that is called Carve, they are a couturier from Paris, and their whole brand is all about, their designs are very futuristic and very space age. So it was like a natural integration for them. They're like, oh, this is cool. Like maybe we could do some AI stuff and make it look really AI. It doesn't need to look realistic, but we want to integrate it with our real life design and see what we can do there. Like they see the possibilities of it.
And your work is so, how do I describe it? It is high end. I look at it, I'm like, wow. So when I see the stuff that you're doing and the fact that this has opened a lot of doors for you, hasn't it?
More than I thought.
In the sense of Pierre Cardin, these designers, but you're talking about AI to rooms of people, and you're off to Cannes soon for these things, and it's just seemed to have, that styling didn't get you there.
It's weird how this was the thing that.
But the AI has propelled you into this high fashion world that you were trying to break through, knocking on every door and having them felt like slammed in your face.
Well, you know why? Because I never got a chance to actually make an image that I was happy with, that I felt like really expressed like my creativity. I couldn't get what was in my head to manifest in real life.
But that's what every creative goes through. I see a photograph in my head and I go, if I can't do that, there's probably no point in doing it.
Yeah. And I was just
I think that's artists, you see the blank canvas, you go, I sort of feel what I know this is going to look like, but then it doesn't get there and it's that disappointment. Whereas you can do all that work, but then you might only have to change one prompt within the thing to go, oh, actually that's changed it to look exactly how I want.
Exactly.
Whereas the quote unquote artist creators have to start the blank canvas again.
But now like people can actually see what I meant. And that's, I think, why all of a sudden doors are starting to open a bit more, because it's what I intended. The picture's
telling the story.
It's what I intended. It's not, I would try before with all these shoots apart from yours, and I wouldn't get there. And no wonder people slammed the door in my face, because it just wasn't what I wanted. And I felt like it was subpar. And now all of a sudden I can give you exactly what I had in mind, and people are seeing it. It's like for the first time I feel seen.
Wow. And for any creative,
it's actually, I didn't realize how that was a big thing for me.
And like I say, it's opening doors. Can you talk a little bit about some of the experiences you're getting to have? People will see you holding microphones, talking to crowds of people about it. You're off to Cannes.
Yeah. I mean, that was the microphone. There was a Fashion AI Expo that was part of Paris Fashion Week a couple months ago. And I got invited by the organizer to basically come, and at first she wasn't very clear. She's like, I saw your work, would love for you to come and speak. And I was like, oh, I thought this was like, but she's like, could you also maybe like put together a presentation? And I was like, oh, she's like, can you also do this as a presentation for Pierre Cardin? Because Rodrigo Cardin is going to be there. I was just like, what the fuck is happening? And it just turned into this whole thing where I had two basically runway shows that I had built to present, but I didn't understand the scope of what this event was going to be until I was in the room. And it was amazing because it was about AI, and the organizer had brought in not just me, but people who represented AI in every facet of the fashion industry for like websites where you can digitally try on the clothing, people who are using AI to integrate the whole, I don't know, merchandising workflow. It's like a bunch of people came up and spoke. And then at the end, it was my turn to present. And it was in front of the head of PR Cardin, and I was like sweating bullets. Kind of like how
talk to me. How did you feel in that moment?
Oh God, I was like so nervous. And also in between that, there were real fashion shows happening. So they had a bunch of designers there, and the models were walking up and down in their actual clothing. And then PR Cardin came with their models and their actual clothing, and they did a little fashion show for us. And then it was just like, okay, Terry, you get up, and now it's your turn to show this thing that you made and show it to the head of PR Cardin. And I'm standing here just like, okay.
How did it go for you?
Oh, I was watching his face the whole time. I wasn't even watching the thing, but I started seeing a little smile show up on his face. And I was like, okay, maybe this isn't so bad. And it went really well. So afterwards, it was, I don't know, it went really well. Doors just started opening. A couple brands wanted to work with me. Rodrigo came up to me afterwards. He's like, I think there's something that we could do together. I can't say much about what's happening there.
And we don't want to jinx anything.
Yeah. So it definitely opened a lot of doors. And that took me to another level too, because PR Cardin is a major house.
Huge.
So that took me all of a sudden from these little expos or the AI Fashion Week in New York that first came out years ago to holy shit, there might be something that's happening in Paris Fashion Week. So it's getting bigger and bigger.
And what about Cannes? Obviously, when everyone hears Cannes, it's so glamorous and red carpets and all this. Terry, Go on. Tell us what you're up to.
Cannes is more just like, this is more another speaking event, more with the Fashion AI Expo, but also I have a couple brands that I'm working with that are out there.
Yeah.
This is more paid media kind of Terry, but there is some AI fashion kind of integrated.
Where do you want to take this? Like, where do you see this going?
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know.
You spoke about it sort of being integrated with your whole agency.
It is. Yeah. And it's kind of like something where I think at the end of the day, it'll be just like another service you can offer to a brand. So with my agency, I'm saying it's basically concept to sale. And a part of the concept is you need creative, but you need something quickly. Maybe you don't have the budget for a large scale shoot. We can start small with some simple AI images, see if people respond to it, see if your brand is actually generating a buzz, and we can move from there. But I think it's just going to be a service from that people offer.
I'm just sat here thinking about all the people that are probably screaming at listening to this fucking AI. I'm still not convinced. I can't believe it.
I know, but it's like, if somebody doesn't like it, they don't like it.
Okay, I probably should we talk a little bit about, are we all going to be wearing these clothes in the future anyway, or are we just going to be living on a Mad Max drought planet because AI takes us so much water to... I'm not putting the whole environmental problem on you, Terry. I'm just saying, obviously, for anyone that doesn't know, AI uses a lot of energy, a lot of water. Mm-hmm. So I just wonder, is it going to replace fashion, or are we in 10 years' time going to be living in this dystopian dry era with nothing but screens everywhere showing us AI?
Man, at this point, we're either all going to die from like a pandemic or aliens, or AI is going to wake up and take over. I don't know. I just know that right now, this is fun. Yeah. I'm really enjoying it. I get to be creative. And if this is the only vehicle where I can really break through, then I will. I don't think we're taking away from anything. Like, big brands are still going to do the big shoots. Smaller brands are still going to do like the creative shoots, like even if it's just a photographer and a model in the street. I mean, with other parts of the industry or other industries, I don't know, like, because there's talk about it, films.
I mean, we're talking solely from the creative industries. I'm sure there's probably more worry in those industries that are a bit more, say, factual based, where you just don't need a person. You can just go, oh, this is the law of this, or the legal ramifications of this.
Well, that was the other reason why I started looking into it. Because when AI first came out, my first thought was, shit, I'm going to lose my job. Because, I mean, eventually you'll get a piece of AI it's going to integrate within Meta. And eventually there will be like an integration where it's just like, it's going to optimize and build ads way better than I can, way faster. And I thought, okay, within 10 years, my job is gone.
Was that a consideration when you started? I know it was an experiment, but do you feel like that was somewhere in the back of your mind going, maybe I should have a look at something?
Yeah.
Really?
But I thought of, did you ever see the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie with Johnny Depp?
Yes.
So you know how in the beginning, his dad, Charlie's father, worked in the factory. It was a toothpaste factory, and his job was to screw on the caps. And then eventually he got replaced by a robot. Well, by the end, he got a better job, but his job was to fix the robot that replaced him.
Right.
So that was kind of my mentality. It's just like, okay, this new thing is coming in. It's probably going to take my job. I need to learn about it so I can stay ahead of the curve here. Really.
And the fact that deep down you are a creative. I'm not just sitting there thinking, oh, Terri's just, an AI nerd that sat in her. I mean, yes, you were
turning into one.
You sat in your room and played for hours, but you're there until 2 a.m. or whatever, experimenting with ideas. But deep down, that still stems from the fact that you're a creative.
Yeah. And it feels good. It's like, I feel like what a creative person would be like if they found like a groove, Like if I was painting, if I was taking photos, if I was writing music.
Is there some sort of flow? I mean, because we talk about flow state as creative. Is there a flow state in writing prompts? I don't know.
It's not writing the prompt. It's like once you start seeing images that you're like, oh, damn, that looks really good. Maybe I can tweak it a bit more. Let's try to swap out the face. Let's make it look like this. There are moments where I feel like I'm flowing. Yeah. And then there's moments where I come in and I try to make some images or some videos and they all just look like dog shit. And I'm just like, all right, I'm going to back away for a bit because I'm not.
But that's the broader creative process for everybody, isn't it? Whether you're a painter, sculptor, photographer, whatever, some of it's great, some of it's dog shit.
There are some days where you're just like, wow, I hate everything and I hate myself. So.
Well, that happens again. That imposterism and all that stuff happens to all of us as creators.
And that's the thing. This is like you say imposterism. This is like the ultimate imposterism because not only with AI do you feel like an imposter, but even.
Do you feel like an imposter? Even though, I mean, I guess we've discussed that they're still stemming from your inputs, but you're not doing the physical creation. So does that lead to imposterism for you?
It can. I definitely understand where everyone's coming from when they're just like, fuck you. Like I get it. I totally get it. But I also at the same time, I'm just like, sorry, I just wanted to make something. Yeah. It looks good and somebody liked it enough to maybe buy it. So it's like a weird thing where I feel like I'm a fraud, but at the same time, I know how much work I'm putting into this.
Yeah.
I know how much time and dedication I put into this. And I vary between feeling like, like a dick. And I vary between feeling like I should own this. I put my heart and soul into this, even if it's through a machine. This is what I had in mind. And I'm trying to also find ways to make it even more original. Because I know a big argument is like, well, it's sourcing from other pieces of art and blah, 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 blah.
But are there any new ideas? We're all sourcing from our own inputs of stuff we've seen, whether we know it or not.
I don't. Well,
there's so much that I can look at images and go, someone will be able to reference that back to something else.
Well, that's if you watch any,
movie, any fashion. God, look at the people that I did my dissertation on, Helmut Newton and Guy Bourdin and David LaChapelle. They have been ripped off more than any other photographers in history. But by other human photographers, not
maybe it's because it's by another human, it's okay. But if it's by like this non-entity like intelligence that just kind of sources from everybody, maybe that makes it a bit more taboo.
But then I still think that there's a whole process of you can source ideas, but you're never gonna. Well, you can try and replicate an image directly, or you can use it as source material.
Yeah, and there's
a big difference. It's like if you're going to forge the Mona Lisa, you want it to look like the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, but
if you go, I want to reference I want it to feel like the surrealism of Guy Bourdin and the sexiness of Helmut Newton, but I want to mix that with Terri Trovato's own brainwaves blended together. I don't know what that would look like. I wanted to do that now. Please, can you do a Guy Bourdin, Helmut Newton, Terri Trovato inspired shoot?
Write that down. I'll take it home and I'll give you like a sample.
Okay, that'd be good. We could use that for the reels to promote
It might look fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it may do. So you don't want people to be scared of AI then, Terri?
I don't think well, look, we don't know what this is going to turn into.
Like I say, it could be Terminator 2.
It could. It very well could. Right now, people can think however they want about AI. I just don't think they need to see people who genuinely are like designing AI like with intention as we're not a threat. We're just trying to make our own way.
I agree. And I think especially the art world and the creative world, we said it earlier, I think you as an AI creator, you're probably viewed with horns, a black coat and, a pointy tail.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, honestly, it's a little tired. Like everybody's just like, oh, Vogue will write pieces or Vogue Business will write pieces on it. Every comment underneath is just like, oh, well, why are we talking about this? Fuck
But it's
AI.
funny you say that. That's just reminded me of a story from Tim Brett Day, photographer that was on the podcast, shot everyone from David Bowie to Grace Jones, the fashion editorials galore.
Hmm.
He went out to Paris, sat down with French Vogue and was showing them digital images when they were still shooting film. And they were like, no, this will never catch up.
Mm-hmm.
Within, I think, 6 months, they were doing the French Vogue digital issue. So there's going to be purists everywhere, aren't there? But
and that's fine. That's fine. Honestly, it's almost like checks and balances. I think it's a way to it's a way to keep art like in a sense
human.
Yeah. Everyone's got opinions. It's not going to stop me from doing what I do, and it's not going to stop them from doing what they do. So,
and I think that's the understanding that I want people to maybe, as creatives and whoever's listening to this, there's a very big difference between art and commerce.
Yeah.
And I think AI.
I think it makes more sense in commerce. It does. I mean, obviously maybe there is an art to prompting. Maybe that's the actual art. But I don't think this is ever going to take or replace an actual photograph, a painting. It's not going to replace any of that. It never will.
No.
So I don't think there's a threat.
Well, I think that's probably quite a good place to leave people with a little bit of a positivity. It's not a big thret, guys. Just keep doing your thing.
No, it'll stay in its own. It'll find its own lane before it wakes up and kills us all.
Yeah. So people who are listening to this, don't come for Terri on social media. She's a good human being, a wonderful person, and she's just trying to create like we all are, but she's just using a different tool. No, honestly, and I think whether you're resistant to it or not, people, go and have a look at some of the stuff that I'm going to share with this podcast, because the work, I know, but look, you're cringing a little bit yourself because there's that imposterism coming in, but I want people to see it because it's pretty mind-blowing stuff.
Thanks.
And if anyone needs to be scared, it's actually me, people, as a commercial photographer. It's not.
You're fine. Nobody's going to replace that either. And like I said, if anything else, there's just some brands who want to explore. And it also, it opens things up, and it makes, the one thing I actually did like about this was it is a bit of a democratization of, at least in the fashion industry.
Say more. What do you mean by that?
Well, fashion's huge for what? Gatekeeping. It's kind of hard to gatekeep now when you have people like me all of a sudden kind of finding our way in the back door and speaking with, Rodrigo Carden.
Yeah.
How did that happen? So in a way, it's kind of opening doors to people who might have always had them slammed in their face. And I like that bit about it, for sure. Well,
like you say, you cut your teeth at the coalface, having doors slammed in your face while you're trying to be a stylist in New York. So
yeah,
progression, and no such thing as coincidence. We are where we're supposed to be.
Yeah. So there's some people who, if they're lucky that a brand notices them, or if their designs are good enough, somebody reaches out to them, like, that's cool. They get a shot that they might have not necessarily had before AI was invented. So.
And that's still potentially true with anyone else. I could put a picture out there and some designer brand goes, oh, that's exactly the sort of thing I'd look for.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's whatever the brand.
Yeah.
And if they like your style, if they like you, it's AI, I think, for people like me, and what I've been hearing is that it's not necessarily about the technique, but it's about the person who's making it, the brand, and their particular eye, like their taste. So I think that will be more like a deciding factor when it comes to brands working with.
And do you think that's where the soul comes into it, in the sense of, if someone was just a tech wizard sat in their darkened room with their black cloak on, researching Pierre Cardin, fashion brands, there's only so much, without that passion for clothes, styling, all those things, there's only so far you can get with just, tell me who the top fashion photographers of the 70s were. Okay, I want to shoot in each one of those styles. But if you're not passionate about those.
Well, I mean, it's everything is subjective, right? But, if you took one dress and you gave it to Annie Leibovitz, and you gave it to Peter Lindbergh, and you gave it to me, we're each going to have our own different interpretation of it. So then that's when it comes down to taste.
Even if the brief is exactly the same, right?
Exactly. And that's when it's like, whoever's paying for it, it's up to them what they like, but we each have our own interpretation. I just have a different tool.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that's kind of a good place to bring it all to a close. Don't be terrified, people. So we do have a closing tradition on the Creative No LM podcast where we ask our guests to give us some sort of quote that resonates with you, but also someone in your world, your network that you think could be an interesting person to come on the Creative No LM podcast in the future.
So I mentioned before, I love Grace Coddington. I think she is just an absolute genius when it comes to making beautiful images and just, she's an artist, really. And in a way, it's weird because I'm AI, very futuristic, but in my soul, I'm very romantic and I'm very nostalgic. And it's a documentary called The September Issue, and Grace Coddington was walking around Versailles, and she's just kind of looking at it and just kind of looking at the whole setting. And she's just like, I think I got left behind somewhere because I'm still romantic. And I don't know why that always just really resonated with me, because I feel the same way.
I feel a bit the same way. I think I'm stuck in the wrong century.
Yeah, it's like
I'm
a
an old romantic soul.
And I think that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to translate that into...
That's an interesting balance. So the old romantic soul with the most forefront of technology.
Yeah, it's weird. That's why I always feel
I don't think that's weird, but like you say, you can delve into those, I'm thinking, Wuthering Heights, all these sort of broadly romantic, deeply dark, tempestuous, all those things. You can tap into that very easily now, right?
Yeah, I can. And I can make some images that I'm just like, there's so many things that I publish.
Really?
And it's just because I don't want to spam people, but I'm just like, wow, this all looks incredible. And it's exactly...
That's interesting. The stuff that you're not sharing, does that feel more personal to you?
Maybe. It was just like a backlog of stuff. Because like I said, I'm working until 4 a.m. So
no, but I feel like you've skipped over that. You're talking about how you're deeply romantic and there's stuff that you've made that hasn't been shared. But I don't know.
Maybe it is.
Maybe I'd have to see that. But
it's a lot of like, it's sometimes I get self-conscious where I'm just like, I think, I'm thinking like my Instagram account, the audience might respond better to this stuff rather than the other stuff.
So you still have that same artist problem of thinking, should I be making for the audience or should I be making for myself?
Yeah.
I would love to see what you would make for yourself if you didn't have the end goal of sharing it.
Very, very whimsical, like old school, like kind of road looking images. But yeah, I don't know. It's just something I should start sharing them more, but I
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And what about someone in your world, your network, that you think would be a good person to come and share their story on the Creative No LM podcast?
Well, it would actually be the woman who founded the AI Fashion Expo. She's kind of the person who kind of opened a lot of doors for me because all these opportunities happened because she saw me on Instagram. Okay. She's like, hey, I'm putting this together. We'd love it if you came to this expo. She's also a photographer.
Wow.
But she is very fascinated by AI. She's like really trying to make these experiences and kind of make AI a bit more, I don't know, digestible for the fashion industry, but also exposing artists like myself, not artists, designers, I don't know. But her name is Olga Gasnier. I don't want to say it wrong, Gasnier. And I think she would be really good to speak to.
And do you think she'd agree?
I think she would. She's lovely.
Where's she based?
She's based in France.
Okay, cool. So that could be something that works for one of the future.
Yeah, Paris edition. You should go down.
You should come with me and show me around Paris.
Apparently, we'll be there again soon. So, yeah. Maybe.
See, this is what I mean, Terri. You're such a high flyer.
Oh, my God. Leave me alone.
And on that note, Terri, thank you so much for doing the podcast. I think this is going to be an interesting, yet, as I said, maybe a little bit controversial because people are going to see AI and go,
I know. If people are mad at me, I'm sorry. That's all I can say.
Don't be mad at Terri, because after this conversation, you should just know that she's just trying to create like the rest of us, but she's using a different tool. Thank you, Terri. That was wicked.
Thanks for listening to the Creative No LM podcast. If you found anything in this episode useful or inspiring, please consider subscribing or sharing it with a friend. You can also help the podcast by clicking the support the show link in the show notes or by grabbing yourself something from the Creative No LM shop. And here's the bonus. When you join the community through our website, you'll get a special discount code that gives you free shipping on all orders. So, before you buy anything, be sure to join the community. Every bit of support helps us keep sharing these inspiring stories. So, thanks again for listening, and until next time, explore, inspire, and create.
Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way. And so, therefore, it's so important to consider this question: what do I desire?